Hello, my name is Darshika and welcome back to D-Talk. Today we will be focusing on Elementary School Math League. Math League is a competition which helps you test and enhance your math skills. And today we have Aditya with us. He's been doing Math League for quite a while and is pretty experienced with it. So I hope we can all learn a lot more about Math League from him.
Hi, my name's Aditya. I'm in 8th grade. I'm a current Forsyth County student, and I've been taking Math League for 5 years.
All right, then first of all, what is Math League?
Math League is a series of competitive mathematics events consisting of 3 individual rounds and 1 team round.
So where do you get info on Math League?
These days, some teachers are sending out info on Math League competitions, and you can register from there. But if you want to do it yourself, you can go to mathleague.org.
So mathleague.org will have everything you need to register, right?
Yeah, and you can also sign up for their email box thing, and they'll send you emails to remind you.
Okay. So how many sections are there in Math League?
So there are 4 sections: number sense, sprint, target, which are the 3 individual rounds, and then team round. It doesn't affect your individual result, the team round.
I see. So why don't we start off with number sense first? So how long does it take?
It's a 10-minute exam. It's very fast-paced.
So how many questions are there?
There are 80 questions, so you have to answer 8 questions per minute to answer all of them.
What's the grade count?
You'll have 5 points for a correct answer, -4 for an incorrect answer, and the grading is a bit different. So if you skip questions after the last question you answer, you get no points, so you don't lose any points. But if you skip a question before the last question you answered, then you get it incorrect. So it's a complex grading scheme.
So let's say I were to complete about 20 questions, then I were to skip another 5 questions and do the 26th question. Does that mean the 5 questions I skipped, I lose all those points?
Yeah, but everything from 27 to 80, you don't lose any points for. But those 5 questions that you skipped, you lose points for.
So then basically, if I were to actually be taking a test, if I did not know 5 questions, but then I knew the next 2 questions, it'd be best to just end it there, right?
Yeah, because you'd lose more points than you get. Also, you can't use a calculator on the number sense.
Okay, so what are some tips or strategies that can be used on the number sense?
So you want to memorize your perfect squares to 32, and you'll want to know your Roman numerals, and basically you want to know your formulas. You want to know all your basic formulas for tough mathematics, and if you know all of that, you can make it through quickly. Some questions will be 26 squared, etc., etc., and you'll have those kind of questions, and you want to go quick on those, so memorize all that you can.
Okay, so what types of formulas though? The 8th grade formula, 7th grade, or
as I said, perfect squares up till 32. Math League has its own sector on things. So for example, you want to know your perfect squares up till 32. You want to know your Roman numerals. You'll obviously want to know your basic things. Some of the starter questions are the hundreds digit of 31,415. So you want to know your basics also. Obviously, if you're going into this not knowing your multiplication table, you might want to know that. And then there's different things that you'll get on there. So for example, if you want, you can know how to change bases. If you don't know what I'm talking about, you can just ignore that. But that is very helpful when you get into the number sense. I've seen it a lot.
Okay, so what would be some good strategies? How long should you take on the first 20 to 30 questions or stuff like that?
So for the first 20 to 30 questions, you want to spend only around 2 minutes. So you want to go really fast on the first 20 to 30 questions, as fast as you can, so that you'll have the rest 8-ish minutes for yourself.
So then what about for the next maybe 30 to maybe about 50 to 60 questions?
I'll just say 30 to 60. For 30 to 60, that actually takes the most time, because 61 to 80, this is just from my experience, this might have changed, but 61 to 80 is quick, but you've got to know your stuff for it. So 30 to 60 will be the most grueling part of the Math League, and you'll want to take 5 to 6 minutes on that.
Okay, so most people actually don't complete the whole test, do they?
Oh yeah, if you complete the whole test, you're like really good. Like
Yeah.
recently, I actually tried a test a few days back in 8th grade. I got 58 questions. That's
That's
it.
pretty good. So, what about the next one?
The sprint test?
Yeah, the sprint test.
Yeah. Okay, so it has 30 questions. It's 40 minutes, so you can take your time with this one. Not too much time, obviously, or else you're going to mess it up. You get 4 points for a correct answer. You lose a point for an incorrect answer. And no matter where you skip a question, you don't miss a point. So you don't gain or lose any points if you skip a question. No calculator for this one also. And so a lot of people say answer as many as you can on the sprint. But my thing is, unless you feel like you're close to getting an answer or you're at an answer, don't answer it. Because in my experiences, one of the tests I took, I just answered as many as I could, guessing. It didn't work. It doesn't work like that because there are 5 options, including a other option. So I would not advise guessing.
I see. So, like, what type of questions are there?
So the sprint one is like the medium ground. Number sense was really the easy questions. That's why it's 80 questions in 10 minutes. They have a lot of easy questions and they're quick ones. Sprint, it starts off easy and then gets a lot harder. So the last questions are on sprint are really, really difficult. Like I can't solve them now in the elementary level. And then there's all of in the middle ground questions are actually pretty difficult. So the questions aren't exactly easy on these tests. You don't want to hope for a perfect score because I've never seen one.
So, what time pacing should you do for this test?
Okay, so the first 15 problems should take you approximately 15 minutes.
So 1 minute per problem.
Yeah, and then 25 minutes for the last 15. So the first half of the test should be done in 15 minutes because the last 15 problems get really hard. So honestly, what I'd say is that I get around 15 questions done in the first 15 minutes. And then when I go on to the last part, I take approximately 5 minutes per question because it gets difficult. And I would have answered around 20 to 21 questions.
Okay, so any basic formulas or anything you need to know for this?
The sprint round, you'll want to know the Pythagorean theorem. Sprint has a lot of geometry questions in it. And so I've seen a lot of work involving triangles and different oblique shapes. So you want to know your geometry for that one, and then you'll want to know your median formulas, like knowing how to simplify algebra properly. Like that's not a formula, obviously, but you'll want to know about simplifying it.
So basically, number sense is like more generic and varied, whereas like sprint it focuses a lot on algebra. Not algebra. I mean geometry.
Okay, so I wouldn't say that sprint is all geometry or anything. Just in the tests I've seen more geometry in sprint than other rounds, except for maybe target. I've seen geometry in target too. It's just you don't get geometry in number sense because number sense is quick questions, and on the pages it's 2 pages long, so they wouldn't even have the space to fit it. So sprint and target have most of the geometry questions, but the main focus on sprint is like pre-algebra, I guess. So there are like pre-algebra questions. Like for example, I learned my basic pre-algebra in around 7th grade. In 6th to 7th grade, I was learning algebra. So during that time, I was learning what we do on this test. So it's difficult, but if you know your stuff, you can do it.
Okay, so that brings us to our next section. So target. So what are some like basic info on that?
Okay, so there are 8 questions in total, but they're ordered in pairs. So they'll give you 2 questions each. 4 pairs, obviously. So you have 6 minutes per 2 questions. You can have a calculator in this round. You get 10 points per correct answer and 0 for incorrect answers or skipped answers. So that means on target, you want to answer all the problems, even if you're just guessing. So you want to answer all of the problems you can confidently, answer it first, and then move on to the problems you don't know by just guessing. I have gotten points that way, actually. I earned 20 extra points just by guessing on one of my tests.
So this is more of the test to just guess on because there's no even if you go wrong, there's not going to be any like consequences.
Yeah, if you get something wrong, there are no consequences for it, but you want to try answering as many questions as you can confidently, like you know the answer. You don't want to just guess the entire thing because it's not answer choices or anything. What I said, like I got 20 points, which is 2 questions right just by guessing, it's because I made an educated guess based on the answers I was already getting.
Okay, I see. So like so you never mind. You already told us the grade count. So what are the types of questions you find in it?
Oh, the target round, the first 2 questions will be easy. After that, they're really, really tough questions. So again, you'll get some geometry in target. If you get geometry in target, it's really difficult. Like there was a question I saw at the nationals when I was in 4th grade, and it was on how many different triangles can you make with the perimeter 11. And obviously, unless you know what you're doing, that's not an easy problem for you. A lot of people do know how that works, in fact, but like you need to know for it to work properly for you.
So like you said before, the target round focuses on algebra. Does it? Sorry, no. I'm sorry, geometry. So does it focus on anything else?
Yeah, so you have geometry, you have high amount of permutation and combination equations. So that's like how many ways can you arrange this amount of objects. You'll see that in the sprint too, permutations and combinations. You might see some factorial problems and different varying levels of difficulty like that. Target, you want to focus more on logic in target. I've seen a lot of logic questions, like for example, Tony had this many balls and the other guy had twice as many as he did. And you've got to answer questions like that.
So it's
And
kind of like a bit of basic algebra too, not like basic.
it's not
algebra.
basic. Like the question, the question I said is way too easy to be a target one. But like it'll flip around like that, and you have to use logic to solve some of them. So you have to think about those problems.
Okay. But like like the number sense, target, and sprint. What you've talked about, it's about both elementary and middle school, right? Or is it only on one?
Okay, so sprint and target, you'll continue to have those in middle school competitions. But number sense, you won't get in middle school. That's only exclusive to elementary.
How do the points add up?
It's actually a weird combination. It's really confusing. So the number sense score that you got, the max would have been 400, and you divide that by 4. And then you add the sprint and target. And so the max score you could have gotten was 300 points, 80 for the target, 120 for the sprint, and then 100 because 1/4 of the number sense.
So only the number sense scores get modified, like the sprint and target don't?
Yeah.
Okay. If you want more information on this, if you go to mathleague.org and go to test descriptions, it'll be at the very bottom. And there's like a full 2-paragraph description on this. Then how about the team round?
So the team round is 10 questions. It's 20 minutes. You can have 4 people on a team, as far as I know. There are 6 ID slots. So at our place, we never had more than 4 people on a team. That was a rule. Your team round doesn't affect your individual results. I think it's 10 points per correct question and no points lost for incorrect. So it's almost like target. So you want to answer as many as you can. And then on the team round, when you have your friends, you want to divide and conquer different questions. So different people taking different questions at the same time. And that way you can spend a lot of time on your questions. But your team round doesn't affect your individual results, but it does affect, but your individual results do affect your team round. So this is a confusing aspect also. So your team round doesn't do anything to your individual score. That's an entirely different thing. But when you take your individual results, let's say you have the top 4 people. Let's say you score a perfect score in the team round. So you have 100 points, okay? If you have the top 4 people in the entire contest, you get added points. But if you have the lowest 4 people in the entire contest, you don't get any added points. There are different aspects like that. Like the better you scored in the individual round, the more it benefits you in the team. So you want to get the best scorers in your school, not just your friends.
Okay, so what type of questions are there in the team round?
It's like the target. You'll have questions like the target.
So it's basically a bit more difficult than the other rounds?
Yeah.
Okay. So that's why they probably give you a team, because it's a bit more difficult.
Yeah. Actually, I'd say the last 3 or 4 questions in the team round get harder than most target problems.
What about the time division for the team round?
As I said, it's 20 minutes. You have 4 people. So as long as you're divide and conquer, as I said, you'll have a lot of time per question.
Okay. So then, what's the relation between Math Counts and Math League?
One is run by AOPS and the other one is run by mathleague.org. Here in Georgia, in Forsyth County, we have a mathematics coordinator named Brian Lack. He runs both sides on the AOPS and the mathleague.org, so it's not much different for us. The questions, the tests, everything's the same. I'm pretty sure Math Counts is a middle school competition, though. Not entirely sure about that. That might have changed.
Okay, so basically, in order to study, what sources did you use for Math League?
I have these great review books that you can purchase online. I don't know how much they are. I think they're $20 each. And they have all the previous contests. Each will have everything from the qualifying rounds to the district to all the way to the national rounds. So it increases in difficulty as you go. And they're really nice reviews or resources. And there are also these online courses that you can take.
So, in case, like, let's say you get, like, some wrong, is there, like, an answer key or, like, an explanations at the end of the book?
Yeah, there's both an answer key and a solutions. The solutions has how you solve each of the problems. Not for number sense, obviously, or else this book would be a lot bigger.
So, what are the main, like, what are the main things that you need to know for Math League?
A lot. You need to know your basic math, and then you need to know your perfect squares, your Roman numerals, as I said. You'll need to know factorials, computational algebra. As I said, I can't cover everything because there's so much. Maybe there's probably stuff that I haven't seen yet after 5 years of taking Math League. There's all sorts of questions. My advice: take the courses online, and definitely check out these books. They're very helpful.
Okay, so what are some tips and tricks for the test?
I don't really have anything else. As I said, know your stuff.
So basically, you just have to prepare and study hard, right?
Yeah.
Okay. This was a very informative session on Math League. I really appreciate you being here. Thank you for coming.
Thank you. It was my pleasure.
Bye.